Hello and welcome back. This is Steve Googe, your instructor for Church Administration 301. Are you ready for another session? I know I am. Church growth pathology. That's our subject for today. Let's get right into it. In this presentation, we will be dealing mostly with the pathology or the diseases of the church. The next presentation for this week will deal with some of the remedies for the diseases. In this session, you will learn the meaning of the word pathology as it relates to the church, the names of 10 pathologies that affect the church, several descriptive phrases that describe these 10 identified pathologies. What does the word pathology mean? Well, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it's the study of the essential nature of disease, the abnormality of structure and function characteristic of a disease. In other words, pathology is a study of diseases. Can the church have a disease just like a human body? Well, when we read 1 Corinthians chapter 12, beginning with verse 12, we find some interesting insights. Listen as I read from the New Living Translation. The human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body. So it is with the body of Christ. Some of us are Jews, some are Gentiles, some are slaves, and some are free. But we have all been baptized into one body by one Spirit, and we all share the same Spirit. Yes, the body has many different parts, not just one part. If the foot says, I am not a part of the body because I am not a hand, that does not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear says, I am not part of the body because I am not an eye, would that make it any less a part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? Or if your whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? But our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part just where He wants it. How strange a body would be if it had only one part. Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the foot, I don't need you. In fact, some parts of the body that seem weakest and least important are actually the most necessary. And the parts we regard as less honorable are those we clothe with the greatest care. So we carefully protect those parts that should not be seen, while the more honorable parts do not require this special care. So God has put the body together such that extra honor and care are given to those parts that have less dignity. This makes for harmony among the members, so that all the members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. And if one part is honored, all the parts are glad. All of you together are Christ's body, and each of you is a part of it. That is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12 through verse number 27. Now, we see that the body of Christ is the church. And the body of Christ can have pathology, that is, be diseased. When a body stops growing and when it starts declining, we want to find out what's wrong with it. And so we're going to talk about 10 pathologies of the church in the next several slides. The first pathology we will examine is ethnicitis. It's the not like us malady. You'll notice that the word comes from the word ethnic. It means of or relating to races or large groups of people classified according to common traits and customs. Here are some of the symptoms of ethnicitis. The surrounding community changes its makeup. And maybe it's racial, or it could be socioeconomic, but the church is not the same. But the church community is not the same. The congregation doesn't shift to reflect that neighborhood. Therefore, its congregation, its members, are made up of people just like me. The church members move away many times from the community that has become diverse, and they will commute back, but typically only until the children have been raised in the church and leave, and then they will leave. This church is simply just not reaching the people around them in their community. Their eyes are closed, and they're suffering from ethnic-itis. Many churches in America suffer from this disease. C. Peter Wagner says that ethnic-itis is terminal. The church will never adjust to the changes and will eventually die. I don't share that view. I don't believe that it's terminal. I believe a body can exist there, but the original church will be gone. The second pathology is ghost town. It's a rural or small town church that's running out of people. Communities are just dying, or they're declining rapidly. Here are some of the symptoms. Lost members are not being replaced with new ones. Large percentages of the members are over the age of 50. Funerals outnumber the weddings. The net outflow from community of young people to find jobs and go to school increases. They don't come back. A ghost town is a community where people are simply leaving. There's little, if any, transfer growth because nobody's moving into the town. There's little conversion growth. There's no excitement. And the ghost town pathology, I do believe, is terminal. Number 3, people blindness. The church is oblivious to differences that exist in the community. Now here are the symptoms. There's an unwillingness to recognize cultural differences. The expectation is that everyone came from the same mold and should live by the same set of cultural rules. This particular pathology does not take into consideration individual differences in mores and cultural rules. It is oblivious to the changes in the community. Pathology number 4, biblical blindness. Failure to believe and or adhere to major biblical tenets. If your theology is wrong, your growth cannot be blessed and will not be blessed. If your theology is wrong, your growth will be based on the wrong premises. The question needs to be asked, what do you really believe? What are you going to throw out? Faith? Lostness? Maybe hell? The authority of the Bible? What about the exclusivity of the gospel? Are any of these doctrines that can simply be compromised or ignored? The answer obviously is no. But biblical blindness can be a horrible pathology for a church, and it will not grow in the truth and be blessed by God with the wrong theology. Pathology number 5 is coinitis. This is the holy huddle. What are some of these symptoms? The congregation fellowships among itself well, but outsiders are rarely included. Why should they include outsiders? After all, they have new ideas, new energy, and maybe will take the church in another direction. Also, church programming is focused on members, not on people in the community. They don't offer programming that would attract people from the community. The church is for the saved, not for the sinners. That is a focus that is often adhered to by the church having koinonitis. The people's main interest is growing spiritually, not winning people to Christ. You find that they really do have an interest in Bible study and in good ways to grow personally, spiritually, but not numerically. But they're not interested in winning other people to Jesus. Evangelism takes a back burner in this type of church. Comfortitis is another pathology. It's the satisfaction with the status quo. Here are some of the symptoms. Too much work to change. Just easier to stay where we are. Cooling off of the first love for Christ. Revelation 2, verse 4. Very little evangelism taking place. We're too comfortable. It's just easier to stay where we are. Now the pastor may see comfortitis, but the church may not see it. It's a very stagnated place to be. It's stagnated thinking, and that leads to stagnation in growth. Number 7 in our list of pathologies of the church is sociological strangulation. That means the physical facilities cannot handle more people. There are too many people in too few spaces. Now here are the symptoms. 70% of available parking spaces are used. The figure used to be 80%, but now in our modern world it has come down to the point that when you are 70% full, you are full. The seating in the sanctuary is 70% or more filled. And your Sunday school classroom space is 70% or more full. And let's not forget the nursery. If your nursery is 70% full, parents will not be back. In this pathology, we see sociology coming to bear on the church growth movement. Sociologists give us these statistics saying when you are 70% filled, people will not cram themselves into that space. They like to have their own personal space. You can see this by walking up to an individual and you notice that about an arm's length away is as close as they want you to come. That is their personal space. And this is the theory behind sociological strangulation. Pathology number 8 is pew paralysis. This is arrested spiritual development, no spiritual growth. Now, there are several symptoms. I'll give you 2 flavors. Flavor number 1, after sacrificing, members want to enjoy the fruits of sacrifice. Often they will say, "No, I cannot stay in the nursery because over the years I've already done that. It's time for younger people to be engaged in that ministry." Flavor number 2, pastors do almost all the ministry work, and the lay people are content to be helpers for the pastor, to help that pastor attain his goals and fulfill his visions, but they're not interested in developing their own personal visions and growth, and so arrested spiritual development takes place. Pathology number 9, stepping stone pastors. Just passing through. Here are the symptoms. It's a short-term pastorate. It's the concept that the pastor is just moving through. He will stay a short period of time, and the church is used to that because it has happened historically. Another common expression of this pathology is expressed in the words, "My resume is out." It's a common expression from many of these pastors. And it's really hard to gain continuity in a congregation when a pastor is always looking for that greener pasture just across the next hill in the next church. It's a revolving door of pastoral leadership. Some churches are always expecting their pastor to move along. It is very common in seminary settings to see the pastor move on quickly when he has completed his training and is now ready for the quote-unquote bigger church. Now we've come to the 10th and final of these pathologies. It's called fundingitis. It's a conflict in how to spend money. This conflict may come when money is coming in and there's an abundance of money, or it may happen when the church is below the budget. When it is above the budget, the question is asked, where shall we spend this extra that we have? When the church is not receiving the budgeted fund by means of offerings, then the leaders often begin to think, well, where will we get the money to pay for our bills? This conflict comes into play more often when churches get more money than is needed for the budget. Another aspect of fundingitis is when money is given above the budget by an individual or a family that is not designated. Then the question is, where do we spend this money? Just a note for those of you who are pastors or leaders in churches. It's much better to have a list of things that extra money could be used for, so that when that money comes in, you have a direction and are not taken by surprise. Because if you don't have a purpose for those extra funds, I can assure you someone else will, and it could very well result in a serious conflict. Now, as we conclude this lesson, let's review the 10 pathologies that sometimes churches exhibit. Number 1 is ethnic-itis, not like us malady. Then number 2, there is ghost town. It's a rural or small town church that's just running out of people. They're losing members and they're not replacing. Number 3 is people blindness. The church is oblivious to differences that exist in their own community. Number 4, biblical blindness. That is, their theology is wrong. Number 5, koinonitis. That's the holy huddle. And then comfortitis, satisfaction with the status quo. Sociological strangulation. That means the physical facilities just cannot handle more people and growth stops. Number 8, pew paralysis. Arrested spiritual growth. People are not growing in the Lord. Number 9, the stepping stone pastor. Oh, I'm just passing through. It's that pastor who is short-term, who will not stay long. And then last, funding-itis. It's a conflict in how to spend money. I hope that your church does not experience any of these pathologies.